everyone, and welcome back. We're so excited to have you. And today I have a longtime friend and colleague on the line, Jeff Zonderman, who's Vice President of Applied Mass Spectrometry at Bruker. Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Laura. How you doing?
Good.
Nice to be here.
Oh, it's just so exciting to have you here finally. We've been trying to get this webinar off the ground for maybe a year, I think now. So this has been, I'm so happy to have you. Thank you. First of all, if you can just tell people a little bit about your current role at Bruker, because I know you've recently joined the company. So if you just tell us a bit of the history of that would be great.
Yeah. So about a year and a half ago, I was with a small company, IonSense. I was the CEO, and I worked with Brian Musselman, who was a founder and the CTO of the company at the time. And we got acquired in April 6th of 2022. So I've been with Bruker ever since then. IonSense was a company that had a kind of unique technology in the mass spec world, where the technology was called DART, which is kind of an ambient ionization technology. So it was a technology that allowed you to analyze things in a lot of different formats without chromatography and other types of sample prep and things like that, depending on the application. But it was kind of a nice application. And what we were doing is looking to develop a complete solution by partnering with a mass spec company. And in the discussions with mass spec companies and investors and things, Bruker decided to bring the technology on board in-house and develop a strategy around DART technology here at Bruker. And in that, about the same time, started building and putting together, which we launched this year, January 2023, we launched the BAMS division, the Bruker Applied Mass Spec division, to go after the applied markets, where mass spec is a massive opportunity and growing. And kind of chromatography free and I guess added value workflows is kind of the area where we can differentiate ourselves at Bruker.
Awesome. So is this a new division within Bruker?
Yeah, new division. So we sell all the same products, but so we sell the timsTOF product line, we sell the QTOF product line, and we also have launched a new triple quad product line as well. So we sell all the same products, but we're focused on kind of your classic applied market. So food, environmental, forensics, toxicology, industrial, polymer, security, clinical research. So we really are focused on what typically you would associate with the applied markets versus the life science research division, which is focused on proteomics, metabolomics, lipidomics, and, kind of cancer research and areas like that, single cell research, where they've been massively successful with the timsTOF technology over the last few years. And so they're remaining focused on that, but now starting a new division, we're going to focus on the more applied markets.
So starting a new division, what does that entail? Do you have existing marketing infrastructure, sales infrastructure, or are you starting that all from scratch?
No, obviously Bruker has infrastructure. So we pulled parts of the LSMS organization out where it was already established. So there is an infrastructure, service, marketing, finance, all the classic things are still there. But what we've done is, after pulling them apart, we're filling in the gaps. Like we have a new sales organization in North America that's focused on applied. We have a new management team, and we're building our own division within Bruker. But so it's kind of a mix. I guess that's the way I could put it. It's kind of mixed. Some things are brand new in the division, but a lot of the supporting staff and the members that were maybe working a bit in our area came over with us. Just before this, it was a business unit within life science, but they really were focused on timsTOF and proteomics. So pulling us out, and really it's an exercise in focus, is allowing LSMS to stay focused, pulling the resources that existed within LSMS and the applied BU, but now setting up a division where we've been hiring like crazy and growing the organization. And really the key areas of investment have been in sales, marketing, and R&D.
So what is your major focus in your role in this new division?
As a leader of the division, my main focus and role is to support everyone we bring on board and make sure that we're aligned on the mission, right? So that's my job, is to come in, build the division, support the people that are within the group, and align on a mission and get support from the corporation on that mission, which we've gotten, and that's been going pretty well. And one of the key areas, a lot like, the DART philosophy thing, is, looking at workflows that are unique to Bruker, leveraging technologies like DART, MALDI-TOF, and ion mobility mass spectrometry to go after the applied markets where, maybe we can, remove steps, make things more cost effective, more robust, easier to use, and actually a lot of discussion about making things greener. It's a big part of what Bruker's about, is making things more environmentally friendly and things like that.
Excellent. So you mentioned there a couple of times key themes of aligning people, but also around a mission. So I'm going to start with, first of all, what is your mission and how do you bring it alive to your team?
Well, our mission is, from a beginning, is to build a new division that's successful in selling to the applied markets. And the question is, what's the alignment on how to attack it? And so we have a core amount of business already. I mean, there was some business in the applied markets because we're a general mass spectrometry company. But then you align on the vision that doesn't include LSMS. It really is focused on the applied and where we can go after and what differentiates Bruker, and aligning on that and what our value proposition is and aligning on that. A good example is one of the key mantras of our division is chromatography free. We're looking at areas where, because of DART technology being now a technology that's being integrated into our infrastructure and into our value proposition, we can start approaching workflows that maybe use chromatography today but don't require chromatography, and moving those things into even more applied type situations, whether it be in the lab or point and need mass spectrometry. We're actually moving mass spectrometry into the field, onto the floor of manufacturing and things like that. Things where the robustness, the cost, and the expertise required to run the chromatography is really a disadvantage to an LCMS system. We're all aligning on what is our value proposition that we can bring to the customers, not to solve every single problem, but to solve the problem that our value proposition resolves, and then putting a whole business plan, product launch plan, and organizational plan together to really be able to bring that. I think we've identified a clear problem with the existing LCMS workflows out there today, and that is moving things where appropriate to chromatography free.
What I really like about that, Jeff, is it's real, it's tangible. Some companies say they have a mission and it's like, we're going to change the world today. And that doesn't sound authentic because it doesn't have context and meaning, and it's hard to align people around that. What you have described is something that's a real pain that people can understand, that people can get behind because you're going to solve that. And I really like the authenticity of that.
If we were just saying we're going to develop a new mass spectrometer and launch it, there's no real focus to that, right? The mass spectrometers out there are really good now. They're really starting to become, I wouldn't say a totally mature market, but in many ways, the triple quad market, the ion trap market, the TOF markets in the applied markets are kind of mature. People understand the workflow. They do that, but they also understand what the gaps are in the workflow and where they need to improve it. That's where we as a team are focused on, is understanding the gaps, understanding where our customers' problems are, and then, all together launching a product and a solution into that. And it has as much to do, if not more to do now, with what you put around the mass spectrometer rather than the mass spectrometer on its own.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big difference between research and then moving technologies out into the field, into the more applied type markets where the users are very, very different. They're really more about solving a problem or generating a report and things like that, rather than the core research itself.
So let's go back a bit to the conversation around alignment. You also mentioned about getting everybody together to deliver that one single goal. How do you do that across multiple different teams of people with different skill sets, different drivers? How do you bring that together across sales, marketing, product management, for example?
Well, actually, you said it. I think one key thing is an area that we're investing in is product management that really owns and defines the strategy. That's one area, is defining a strong team that can get aligned and setting up an organization that will align behind a strong product management strategy to launch products to a specific area. So, it really is all about communication. We're still a smaller group relative to that, so we can really establish the channels that we need to communicate. It's certainly not easy, but I think you can rally around a concept like we're going to go after chromatography free, and we're going to leverage MALDI-TOF, we're going to leverage, which we're already very well known, and the company actually was doing quite good in a leadership position there. We're already known now for DART and removing chromatography in those areas. So I don't want to say simple, but it's a message that doesn't get too complicated at the high end. And we can rally around that, and then we can discuss how do we do that underneath and with all the functions. So I do think you need to have kind of a rally cry, especially when you're starting something new, of why you're going to be different. If we were just launching another mass spectrometer that had slightly better specs against the good competition that's out there, I think it'd be a little tougher than we're going to actually change the way people do things. And we're going to launch products that really operate different and have a different value proposition than everyone else.
Spoken like a true salesman, Jeff. I love it.
Yeah. So I think our message is pretty simple for a group to rally around. There's a lot, obviously, what we're trying to do is highly complex. But at the end of the day, if you have a simple message, you communicate regularly with the team, and you have good supporting management staff, which I'm very lucky to have, you start to do that. And, we obviously, even within that, have different opinions and need to continue to always align on the direction we're going, depending on where projects are. But the team seems to be really good at that in communicating, the areas that we need to focus. But it is really everyone rallying around this concept that we're going to look to fit our niche, and we know exactly where that niche is. That's different than what other people are offering today.
So tell me a little bit about your journey to this role. Are you a scientist by background?
No, I'm not a scientist, although I love science. I come more out of marketing and sales. I was a DNA synthesis chemist when I first started right out of school. Right. And in the applications lab, I was developing DNA synthesis and RNA synthesis methods. But I grew up in sales. I grew up in marketing and then moved into general management. And I'm someone that just loves technology. And I've been very, very lucky in my career to play in the genomics world when sequencing was going crazy at Applied Biosystems with sequencers. And then I got to play with mass spectrometry and proteomics and pharmaceutical with triple quads and technologies of high resolution started taking off. And then I got to play in cell and gene therapy for a little while where, we worked together, and then biopharma. And now I'm back into mass spectrometry again, focusing on the more applied. So I've been very lucky that I've really these different things I've been able to play around in. And it's because I love to go talk to technologists and really learn what they're doing. And I've been very lucky to work and collaborate with just some really, really smart people. So I'm not a scientist, I'm a sales marketing, but I really actually enjoy technology. I really think it's unbelievable what people here at Bruker are doing and our collaborators and what they do with our technologies. And I've been very lucky at, other companies to be able to do some of the similar things. So I appreciate the science. Let's just say that.
Well, one of the things, we've known each other for many, many years. And one of the things that I've really always appreciated about the way we work together and watching you work is how you always listen to the customer and how close you are to the customer. And the way you described with Bruker, how you have that mission is so simple. That has come because it's a direct customer pain point that you're solving, not because it's somebody sat in an R&D team that have come up with a cool technology and then trying to fit it to a need. So I'd like you to talk a little bit about that sort of customer relationship.
Yeah, the customer and bringing voice of customer into marketing and then into our development projects is really important. There is a lot to say that you find a technology and you throw it out there and figure out where it sticks. And many people have been very successful doing that. But once you turn to applied markets, that's already happened. DART has already been thrown out there in tons of applications. Now, what we're doing is focusing on particular applications. Same thing with TIMS. It was thrown out there in the broad range of applications and really stuck in proteomics. And what we're doing is we're looking to take that and focus it on very particular. Matter of fact, some very exciting work being done in environmental and using CCS values to really be able to nail down the identity of molecules and things. Yeah, some really exciting stuff going on. So we get to take the technologies that have been proven and apply them. And that's really driven when the customers grab onto that and say, we want to solve this problem. A technology is over time has been matured a little bit and shown to solve that. And now we're going to bring it into the applied. And the only way you know how to do that is working with customers, because it's not really just competing with other mass specs, it's competing with other technologies. And the only way I know if I compete, or my group or anyone would know, is talking to them at the problem in the lab where they're using immunoaffinity, and actually maybe mass spectrometry is a better way to do it, or specific, or maybe chromatography-free mass spectrometry is a better way to do it. So the only way that I get very clear confidence in what I'm saying and what my group is working on and what I'm supporting is the fact that a critical mass of customers and KOLs have told us this is of interest to them and they believe it solves a problem.
So are you supplementing those one-on-one conversations with any other sort of tools to give you market insight and customer data?
Yeah, I mean, the customer data is one of the legs on a stool, right? But there's also market research that you invest in a little bit. But I find that to be more just proving, or disproving a little bit of what you think the market is. But certainly market research is another peg. And many times it's your internal expertise and what you can work on. You could, a lot of times you look at a market, you say, this is the way it's going. You say, well, internally, we really don't have any expertise there. So maybe even though that's going to grow. So those are the three areas is what does the customer want? What does the market data say?
Yeah.
That's a little more formalized to really prove your assumptions. And then what are we good at? What do we have in our toolbox that we can really, really go after with this customer need? And, it becomes really important, I think, in the applied markets to meet those needs. Because again, it is much more focused in what you're actually going after to resolve those issues.
So as a senior leader of this division, how are you quantifying success of your commercial activities?
Oh, that's a really good question because we're very early right now. We're building, right? And it is about it's not just only sales, right? But it is also awareness building, right? So, Bruker is very well known in some areas, but maybe not as well known in other areas. And so I look at it as what is I like where we are in the sales process because we haven't even been around a year.
Wow,
right?
gosh.
We have most of the new people we hired are really just only hitting their one year anniversary, and that's only a few percentage. A lot of people haven't been here that long or in the division that long. So, I look at what is our opportunity pipeline. That's a really important indicator to me because that tells you that your commercial people are working. So the applied markets is very large. And if you said how many sales you have now compared to the massive market that's out there, you might say, oh, wow. But no, I really look at with what we've done, is our message resonating? And you look at what is the sales pipeline and opportunities. That's a key indicator.
So how do you know your message is resonating?
I think it's a lot with how many meetings your sales reps are getting and how many opportunities come out of that. I don't know. You go to a conference and, at ASMS, we felt strongly that at least in that introduction, that our message was resonating. We got very good feedback and had unbelievable conversations, and we were busier than we thought we were going to be, I think, as the applied group at ASMS. So it was a great conference. So that's one thing. But really, we look at how busy the sales reps. I quite honestly, and you know this, I don't really look at leads. You define leads and you get 800 of them, but what is the number of opportunities that come out of that? That's a key indicator. And once you get the opportunities and the pipeline built, then it always is at the end of the day how many orders you get. But when you're starting something off from new and you have a year to a year and a half sales pipeline or 9 months to a year and a half sales pipeline, opportunities tell you that your people are working on stuff and the quality of those opportunities. So that's really the key indicator for me at this point. Now, a year from now, it will lean more towards orders. But
so when you're setting those KPIs and obviously they are changing over time as the division gets more established, who actually sets those goals? Does that come from you and the senior team, or is it coming from the people that are at the coalface?
No, there's two areas at any company where goals come from. There's goals that come from corporate. Those would be based on what my business looks like at the time I take it and where they think it could go in this short period of time. So corporate definitely defines the yard that I'm playing. And then based on that, I suggest a number of goals, or my management team, based on everything, suggests goals that fit into that yard. At the end of the day, corporate tells me, really what our division should be. And we basically set goals that support that. So it really is about corporate goals being set, and then we set the goals on my management team to support those corporate goals.
And how often do you actually look at progress to those goals to make sure that you're actually achieving them, or can pivot if you need to?
Oh, You look at it regularly. I mean, some weeks you look at it every day. No, I would say a good cadence to really look at them is on a monthly basis. But depending on what it is, obviously we pay attention to them more than that. But I mean, to really sit down with everybody and see where we're at, a monthly basis is probably a good standardized cadence. But I know the our regional managers and the marketing folks are constantly looking at them, right? They're constantly interacting with the regions. They're constantly looking at what's in Salesforce. And we do that. I mean, we do that on a weekly basis. And, we see that opportunities are going one direction or the other on a weekly basis. And we problem solve if it's going in the wrong direction.
So how did you quantify success from some of these like AOL collaborations and stuff? Did you have KPIs set that you looked at? What were the indicators?
The indicators always are coming out of a conference or coming out of thing is how many opportunities do you create? That's the only thing that matters is opportunities, and then you quantitate based on, a little later from those opportunities, how many sales do you get? That's really, in my mind, the only two that matter is how many opportunities do you generate? Now we did look at, from a collaboration, you got to get a publication, you have to get a presentation, you have to get it. When you set up that collaboration, matter of fact, we're setting up a really good one right now. I'm very excited about it. And, it has publications, it has presentations, and it has all these things that, we're going to invest as Bruker, and we're going to put, really cool technology that actually this group has developed, but we're going to put it into a DART scenario on a triple quad. And they're going to do a lot of the applications development work with us. And it's really exciting, the applications they're going to work on. And, we're supporting that, but they actually are motivated to collaborate. They work with industry. So they have industry partners that are now interested in this. It's kind of like it just starts to roll and gets bigger. It's like a snowball downhill.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
Hopefully that will happen with this. And, our collaborator is just a super smart guy, and his group, matter of fact, we just hired one of his postdocs because he just runs an awesome group. And the person we hired, we had a lot to do with this technology, is going to be a big factor, Bruker-wise successful. So relationships are everything. And developing those relationships with the right organizations that have the other thing is you have a common goal. You're both interested in changing the world in this way, then it might actually happen.
And I love that you bring that back, because that common goal, a lot of people think having a vision or a mission is like marketing BS, basically. But it's not. It's about aligning everybody around like where you want to go and what you want to achieve. And if you don't have alignment, you're not going to achieve anything. So I love the fact that you've got that and it's so clear in your mind.
Well, yeah. And we have a vision. It's going to take a little while, but, DART and IonSense has the vision of finding all the applications that can be chromatography free. That's our vision. We're going to go chromatography free. And now that we are part of Bruker, we have a little bit more wherewithal to do that with a few more really cool technologies that are commercialized and being looked at, that the vision is moving to chromatography free. That's what we're going to do.
And I love the part that you mentioned before about how important the relationships are. And you mentioned about hiring postdocs from collaborators. And I've seen you do that before to form those relationships and really like forge those bonds. And it's fabulous because it's a proven methodology that each time it works and it gets you the insight from the market that you were describing at the beginning. So really good. Really excited. So I'm going to ask you again the last question, which is at the end of every interview, we always ask a question that our previous interviewee asked. So I had Andy Patera, who is the head of sales and marketing at New England Biolabs on, and he wanted to ask you.
Within the life sciences, what are the next sort of major advances that we're going to see in the customer experience, either driven by companies like ourselves or driven by customers seeing those experiences in other industries?
One of the things that we talked about, for example, was virtual reality and things like that. So is there anything that you've seen that you think could be really innovative, a major advancement in the commercial side?
It's a mixture, but I think I'm excited about we're working on with mass spectrometry, because I think the innovations are coming from the mass spec companies.
Okay.
The things that are really gonna move the needle. Now, yes, AI is definitely coming. It's coming on a big high level. But it's changing the world. So yeah, we'll change how we do methods development, change how we make decisions on data. It'll change everything. So it's right now already changing how marketing groups write tech notes and write application notes, right? They actually use these programs to write an application note, which is crazy.
I know. I love it.
So AI is going to change everything, but it's going to change life. It's not going to change just mass spec. It's changing life. But as far as the mass spec thing, it is coming from internally. What Bruker's doing, and I think, I'll say what other vendors are doing. There's just so much things to really improve the mass spectrometer experience to really be applied. You look at what some companies have done to try to do it, and they're making mass specs more usable by the masses. And that's really the next hurrah. And actually the biggest market for mass spectrometry is to move it out of the lab, move it out of the experts' hands into the people that care about the application. And they're more the applications people running it. So a toxicologist or
It's so exciting. It's so exciting.
Or a point of need police officer.
Yeah. Could you imagine?
No, it's coming. It's close. And there's already some things that are being done in companies that have accomplished some of that already. So it's very exciting what Bruker will bring to that and what our piece of the pie will be of that, because obviously there's a lot of fun things going on there. And Bruker really has right to a significant piece of that. We're not going to do everything, but we have rights to a significant piece of that. And I think we're putting together the solutions with technologies we've either acquired or have been developed in-house to go after it. So I think that's what everyone in the group is excited about.
And that's why people align around a mission, because you're bringing it alive, and that's awesome. So,
fun.
Well, listen, Jeff, if you could ask your peers one question to learn from their experience, what would it be?
I think that we're in a major transition in how we do marketing. And I think actually in many ways, we're oversaturate. Everything we do, we very quickly oversaturate customers in our marketing.
Yes.
This is a challenge that we have. It's a challenge you have to keep in front of it. And I believe you have some skills that are doing that for us around some of your history that you've done. But I think that what I'm not happy with is how we saturate customers. And I have a real problem seeing value in some of the things that we're doing electronically that we kind of have to do, but that I don't see the benefit necessarily because it's so saturated. Little companies now can be as big as big companies, but everyone gets diluted. And how do we fix the dilution in marketing to actually get a program working? Because what I find sometimes is we go back to, you have to shake a hand, you have to do this. I really want to see more effective social media and more effective things. And I think you got to continue to do the stool. You'd still need to do a bit of everything. But I want to see how can we really get through this thing where there's one hot thing and everyone does it. And all of a sudden that becomes not as effective as you thought it would be after a year.
I think that's a great question, Jeff. And I actually want to pick up on a couple of the points in it, because I actually think should be answered in the context of your comment earlier that it's all about sales. Now, you mentioned some of the digital stuff that you do in the oversaturation, and I think that was used before for lead generation. And you're right, it doesn't work. People are not going to buy from emails they get in, right? But you have to remember that on average, it takes a person 8 times to see a brand name before they even recognize that they've seen it before. So it's about changing the mindset about what the purpose of that is. So the emails are literally just like, even if you just see it in the inbox, email from Bruker Applied Mass Spectrometry, and you don't even open it, that's adding to that brand awareness. So when they are ready to do it, they already know what you are. And I think that's the problem. I think there is too much focus recently on marketing being a lead generation tool and forgetting about the psychology of it. But that's my perspective.
Yep.
I think there's a lot of interesting stuff to unpick in that, definitely. But I think you're right. And it all comes down to you can't replace the one-to-one. And that's got to be the primary driver. And we just have to give the people doing that one-to-one dialogue the tools to be able to provide the customers the information and the answers to their questions at that point of sale. Jeff, thank you so much. I know I've kept you a little bit longer than I said I would. I'm going to let you go.
Well, thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to talk with you, Laura. We'll talk soon.
Likewise. Thank you, Jeff.